Welcome to Belief, Being, and Beyond with your host, Granddaughter Crow. Hi, everybody. Granddaughter Crow here with another episode of Belief, Being, and Beyond. And today I have the wonderful honor of interviewing and spending some time with and allowing her to share with you her wisdom, Laura Gonzalez. And it is just, let me just tell you a little bit about Reverend Laura Gonzalez. She is a spiritual and community healer, priestess, minister, specializing in traditional Mexican folklore. If you want a little bit of Mexican folklore, follow her. She's got classes, we'll talk about it. Also, native philosophies and North American paganism within the goddess tradition. And I can't wait to get into that. She also holds a leadership role at a Chicago-based community practice of Nahua tradition of Mexico. Please correct me if I'm saying it wrong.
No, that's correct.
Yay, where she provides guidance, support, community harmony. Laura also advocates for indigenous, pagan, LGBTQIA communities with a focus on women's rights and diversity. And I am so honored because Laura, I've met her and she is my sister. She is my sister. She is my sister. I'm pretty sure that our ancestors knew each other at one time. So, everybody, please welcome Laura Gonzalez. Say hi, everybody. Say hi, Laura.
Hi, hello, and welcome, and thank you for being here.
Yeah,
My
I'm.
honor and pleasure.
Oh, good. I'm interested in Laura.
I
You
mean,
have a new website,
yes, I do.
bluewitch.org. Bluewitch.org, people. Go to bluewitch.org newsletter straight away. Sign up for that newsletter. Do you know why? Because then you get to know different parts of the community that you get to become a part of and rely on because that is what we need to do in this time is community. So tell us a little bit. I mean, you've got so much stuff on your website, but tell us a little bit more about you changed it or what happened?
What happened is I started my business about 13 years ago as a tarot reader. I've been reading tarot since I was 14 years old, 15 years old, you know. But I started as a business in 2011. And something must have been in the water in 2011 because I started doing a lot of things. I started podcasting and I started my business, and there was a lot of changes. And I had a website that was for tarot,
Right.
right? For just the tarot readings. But the truth of the matter is that I am much more than a tarot reader. I've been an educator my whole life. If I learn something, I immediately turn around and then start teaching people. And that was back in Mexico, the way it was when I was younger. If you have a certain degree of education, you could actually teach the younger degrees of schooling. So at one point in my life, I was teaching first graders and third graders, mostly English and history, but general sciences. And it was a short period of time, and I always knew that I love teaching. I love everything that I do and everything that we do for our communities, right? Like to be there, to conflict resolution, to help with activism, to help empower people, and to remember who we are, and to remember that we own the power, and we own the power, and we own the power. And so I have always translated that into teaching. Let me teach you this. Let me teach you about that. Let me, And so my desire, since I started my tarot business, was let me introduce myself as a tarot reader, and then you can come to my classes and come to my workshops and all of that. And at certain point, I don't know what happened, and I kind of lost the plot. And a lot of people knew me. It's so peculiar and funny because a lot of people knew me as a tarot reader locally, but online it did translate it into she's a teacher, she's. So I always have like this kind of like these two communities separate. So there was a website. Please don't look for it anymore. It doesn't exist, but it was, the Blue Witch. It was, pardon me, it was Bruja Laura Gonzalez. And of course, years go by, you learn more things, you teach more things, you do more things, um, a lot of things happen on 2023.
Okay.
I was part of the Parliament of the World Religions, and it was in Chicago. And I was invited to be part of the opening speaking, event, the opening plenary, and also to march with the parade of religions. And I was incredibly honored to be asked that. But and I thought, I'm going to march with like the whole lot of people. And then I come to Parliament, which was here in Chicago at the McCormick Place, and I have my regalia on because they asked me, if I could have my regalia. So through my tradition, we wear white and red and my face painting. And I have some smoke medicine with me and all that. So I was nervous because I've never been in Parliament of the World Religions, let alone have to speak. And I asked, where does the procession begin? And they asked me, what's your name? And I say, I'm Laura Gonzalez. And then they say, oh yeah, you're first. And then everybody lined up behind Laura. And I was like, what? I'm like, can you repeat that? She's like, yeah, you're first, you're first. And then I have a person whose name I didn't get, but he is a man, the liaison of indigenous affairs for Parliament. And he came near me and he told me there's two elders that are going to join you once you approach the door. And one of them was none other than grandmother Mary. God, I'm blanking on the names. Lyons, grandmother Mary Lyons, and then another lady whose name I can't remember, but she was on a TV show, Reservation Dogs.
I love reservation dogs. I love reservation dogs.
She played the grandmother of one of the kids, and she was there on the parade with grandmother Mary Lyons. So I had the incredible honor to walk with all of them, and we walk into the parliament. And then when it was my time to speak, I have been asked to speak in Nahuatl, and then in Spanish, and then in English.
Wow.
And unfortunately, I do not know Nahuatl because colonization was, for lack of a better word, so effective in Mexico that they detribalized a lot of us, and a lot of us don't know our languages or original languages.
Mm.
But I know a couple of songs, and I know a few words. And so I sang a song on Nahuatl, and then I said a goddess prayer in Spanish, and then in English. And I also happened to be the first women who spoke on the opening. 30 minutes after the event started, there was nothing but men. And then the first women who spoke, it was me. So that was an incredibly life-changing event and honor. And so after that happened, a lot of things started happening in my life. And I got a very clear, very, very clear message from ancestors, from the land, from Chicago itself. Um, in my pagan practice, I used to do paganism, and I keep my indigenous practice and my indigenuity. I always kept separated. And I've been a pagan priestess, and I've been practicing paganism publicly, teaching, etc. But the indigenous part was always like
Yeah.
kept on the side.
Right.
And after this event, she, he, it, whatever they are, the message was very clear, and the message was whole. I need you whole, and I need you to work all of it.
Yeah.
And then I was like, but isn't it isn't it a mistake to put paganism and the goddess and indigenous stuff? And then what I heard was basically like, did I stutter?
Right? Right?
So,
I love
yeah.
it. Did I stutter? You heard me, little girl. You heard me. Yep.
And little girl is right because I had a tendonitis on both my hands and I could barely do anything with my hands. So it was like, you are not to work with your hands.
Right. Right.
Your medicine is not, yes, you do have medicine in your hands, but your medicine is not in your hands.
Yeah.
Right here.
You're
That's where your medicine is.
that's right.
And 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 I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
I have so because of all that, this I know this is a winded answer because I that's me. Um, so all these changes happened between last year and 2023, the ending of 2023, 2024, and I have a lot of work, and all that work was spread out into like 20 pots. And I met this wonderful person whom has been my apprentice for a long time and has been helping me physically when I go to places and I do classes and workshops and whatnot. And because another person learned that I have this person helping me, they offered to help. So
Oh,
now I have two um, people that work with me as the Blue Witch team. So Sani and Andrea. Sani is basically my personal assistant, and Andrea is my business manager.
gotcha.
And Andrea went and did a whole lot of work to put the website together. If you ask Andrea if we can launch the website officially and tell everybody about it, she will say no, we're still working on it, we're still working on it, because Andrea's constantly adding things and working uh, with so much ardor, with so much gusto, putting everything together and again helping me reflect on all the work that I've done and all the things. So you can go now to bluewitch.org and then you can find all of my classes, you can find all of my services, you can find all of learning programs that you can learn on your own pace. These are
Yes.
pre-recorded classes and you can join our live classes. So I have classes that are pre-recorded, right? Um, of a tarot course, like an introductory tarot course that I taught in like 2021, I think.
Mhm.
Um, and then you can learn that on your own pace, right? Then I have a spells course that I taught all of 2022. So all of the year 2022, or rather, I'll say 2023, I think it was the spells series. And same, you can learn on your own pace. And I I suggest people spells, but I focus more on like this is the technology behind doing a spell for fill the blank. None is not a class where I'm going to tell you, yeah, we grab this herb, we grab this. No, is in this class I teach people like what do you need, how do you focus on what you need, what are the tools that can help you, this is the technology and this is how you use it. And then, of course, towards the end of the class, there's always going to be a couple of spells, but it's not a class of spells. It's like how to craft your own spell.
Yeah.
Uh, and then on 2024, because of the whole, working with your hands anymore. And so I started the Decolonizing the Goddess class
Yes.
in 2024. And this is it. This is the indigenous knowledge.
Yes.
We focus on the indigenous knowledge of these teteos, this Siwa teteo, the goddesses, and we focus on them, and we do a little bit of a comparative to like pagan goddesses or more
Oh,
mainstream goddesses. So I grab the first 12 goddesses that are very well known for people, even for both for indigenous people whom are not really knowledgeable of things, but also for pagan people who I'm sure have heard or have seen these icons. And so the first year of the colonizing the goddess, it was um, Chalchutlique, Coatlique, Citlalinicue, Chantico, Xochiquetzali, Chicomecoatl, like all the usual suspects, the ones that people know more. And for people who don't understand what I'm saying or don't know, it's like Tlalinique is the star goddess. So she's like the sky and the stars, like you're painting behind you. Um, we have Xochiquetzali, who is the goddess of flowers and beauty, but it's also related to like completion and renewal and self actualization.
Yes.
Chantico, come to us, Chantico. Chantico is the goddess of fire, protection, and the fire of the house, the fire of the hearth, the hearth.
Yes.
But she's also the warrior goddess that protects the realm and protects the house and
Oh,
protects the community. So Chantico, please.
Antico. Yes.
Chantico, come to us. And then like we have like Koyoshauki, the moon goddess, and we talk about the moon, and you cannot talk about Koyoshauki without talking about Coatlicue, who's Mother Earth, and Huitzilopochtli, who is her brother, and there's the whole um, mythology. The best known, one of the best known myths of the Nawa people, the birth of Huitzilopochtli, that
Okay.
happens in winter solstice, and is basically the birth of the winter sun. But have you ever heard the myth?
No, can you share? Yeah.
So her name is Coatlicue, and she is cleaning her house. She's sweeping the floor, and then she finds this beautiful bundle of hummingbird feathers on the floor, and it's so beautiful and colorful and mesmerizing that she picks it up and she put it on her skirt. She tucks it into her skirt, and next thing you know, she's pregnant, and she's pregnant with the feathers. She became pregnant, and her daughter finds out. Her daughter is Koyoshauki, the moon, and her daughter finds out, and that's not right because like we don't have a father, and how you have a child, like
Yeah.
what happened? And so Koyoshauki goes and tells all her brothers and sisters, whom are 400 warriors,
Wow.
called the Senson Cisnawa. And I can never pronounce that name correctly, so please forgive me if you know how to pronounce it, because I know I butcher it. So the 400 brother warriors, um, they know that mom is pregnant, and that is not right. So Koyoshauki um, starts this plot to kill the unborn child, and they don't want him to be born because
Right.
like a sin or whatever.
Right.
And so Coatlicue is incredibly afraid because 400 warriors plus a moon,
Yeah.
her daughter, are coming to get the baby, and the baby is on her womb. And then she's trying to console herself, and she's there like trying to sit in contemplation, and then she hears the voice of her son from her belly, which Huitzilopochtli is telling her, it's gonna be okay, mom. It's gonna
Wow.
be okay. I'm gonna take care of you, mom. Don't worry, it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. Um, don't worry about it. I'm going to be born, and it's gonna be okay.
Wow.
And Huitzilopochtli is born a full-on warrior with an incredible shield and a weapon, and he first goes to Koyoshauki and cuts her into pieces, I can't remember the name of the weapon, but it's one of those wood things that had obsidian.
Oh, wow. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Poking out from each side. Yeah.
But
Wow.
the name is the fire serpent Shukwat.
Oh, wow.
And he grabs the Shukwat and he's, fighting all the brothers and sisters, and him and mom are okay.
Wow.
So the myth is like, what?
Right,
There's
right.
murder, there's betrayal, there's plotting. Don't forget, Coatlicue is the earth. Coyoshauqui is the moon.
Yeah.
And the Senson since Nahuatl are the stars.
Oh,
And Huitzilopochtli is the sun. He is
oh,
the winter sun. So what we're talking about here is we're talking about the earth,
yes.
the myth and the movement of the celestial bodies from an earth perspective. When you see the earth at night, the big sister, the moon, is there, and the 400 brothers are the stars. And when Huitzilopochtli is born on winter solstice,
Gotcha.
though he is a baby because he's a small son, he's the tiny son of the east, um, of the east. Um, when the sun comes out, it kills the brothers and sisters. When the
Yes.
sun comes out, you don't see the moon anymore, you don't see the
Right.
stars. And our people were so poetic to do these allegories, to tell the stories, because even the dismemberment, which is so apparently violent for people who don't understand that this is an allegory, the dismemberment of Koyoshauki, it's actually talking about the faces of the moon.
Right. I was thinking that how it was
Yeah,
chopped up into slices and sometimes
yeah.
you don't see it and yeah, all of the phases of the moon. Oh,
Sometimes
yeah.
you can see here how she's been cut up,
Wow.
and sometimes she's whole, and sometimes she's half, right? So
Yes.
that's a little bit of taste of, you come to my class, I tell you the myth, I tell you the story, I tell
Yeah.
you how, reclaim the knowledge of the myths. And more importantly, we recognize that these are not stories told about gods and goddesses,
Right.
but through the little threads that they left us, we can pull that thread and understand that we're talking about human nature,
Yes.
and human nature that has been, like every other culture before Christianity, anthropomorphizing the forces of nature,
Yes.
understand human nature and to
Yes.
understand our behavior. So people can come and get these classes, and they can buy the whole series with a discount, and you can pay on like two payments, or people can buy on demand. Hey, I just want to hear about this goddess, or I just want to hear about this goddess. And people can still jump in on 2025. We're so early in the year, so you still can jump and you can still buy 2025 the whole year. So that'll give you access to the live classes, which is fantastic because people come to a live class, and if they have questions, they can at the moment, ask it at the moment. But there are people who cannot come to live class, but they can now have access to the whole year.
Yeah.
So buy the whole year, buy on demand, pay in two payments or one payment, and then do your thing. And we also are doing community circles.
Yeah, I saw that. Tell us about how we can join in.
Yeah, and what we do is actually Sansecotilistli, now what word for all of us to learn? Sansecotilistli, which is
Sensacotilisli.
Sansecotilistli, which is basically a gathering of people, community coming in a circle. And it's a community gathering, so we come together. I give prompts for the month. For example, the one for February, The prompt is love and gratitude and radical self-love and unconditional love, and not just sexuality, not just romance, but how do we go about um, unconditional love, which is of utmost important at this day and age,
Yes.
regardless of what is happening in the world, but now even more, right?
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
because of what is happening.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And what that looks like is people come together. I give a prompt. First of all, we check in, and then I give the prompt, and then we all, breathe, and we do some kind of music. I'll do a chant or something, or somebody else will lead a meditation, or and then we talk about our grievances, we talk about our happiness, we talk about reflections that have come to us throughout the time that we have shared together. And sometimes community gathering, a person is having like a heavier load than the
Yeah.
rest of the community.
Yeah.
So we come together, and it could be beside what the prompt was. It could be, it could be this person needs us now. So we um, turn into just holding that one person. It has happened a couple times when somebody on the community needs us to be there for them. And this community gatherings I've been doing with the same set of boundaries. The first boundary is that they are absolutely confidential.
Yeah.
What is said on the community gathering, don't leave the community gathering, period. They're not recorded. They are not to be, The second boundary that we ask people to hold is that we're not there to fix anybody.
Right. I love that.
We're not fixing people, we're not fixing problems, we're not making them better. People are excellent as they are. Nobody needs to get better unless they want to get better. Of course, sometimes people say, like I was saying earlier, sometimes
Sure.
people ask, help me, right?
Sure.
Um, and the third and most important one, I think, is we are not there to give advice.
Mm.
Like, I'm not gonna give you advice. I'm not, I give you advice when you pay me for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
Otherwise I don't give advice. I'm there to listen, and everybody is there to listen. And they are so incredibly rewarding, and so incredibly spiritual and beautiful. Um, Sansekotilisli. I'm still learning the word. Sansekotilisli means gathering in Nahuatl. It's
And
not from ego, to understand that we all learn from each other.
yes, absolutely
All learn
100%.
from each other. I always tell my apprentices, you hold your bag of medicine,
Yes.
and you can be on a lineup of 50 healers, and each one of the 50 healers is going to have their bag of medicine right in front of them. And the people that need to come and take from your medicine will beeline to you.
Yes, absolutely 100%. And I love that you are saying, when I think community, I think that we all stand in a circle. And I think that there is no head of the table. Again, bluewitch.org, sign up for the newsletter so that you don't miss any of this. Thank you, Andrea. Thank you, Sunny. Thank you to everybody in our communities that know us both. Shout out to Elohim Lifar. I saw that you had written something in Dream Witchery,
Yes,
as
yes.
well as you contribute to a lot of different books, magazines, etc. Yeah, absolutely. And I'm just like, thank you for, it's funny too because you and I have similar stories where we just kind of come out and we do one thing and then spirit and community say, "Oh no, you're going to do this." And it's like, "Me? Me? Okay, okay, I'll say yes. I'll say yes." And it's just it's right in time. I'm so happy that I know you, cousin. I love you from depths of my soul, and I really appreciate you being here on the podcast. Is there any last thing you wanted to say to the people?
I always sign off saying, never forget that you are loved. And I want you to believe me.
Yeah.
I want you to believe me. Don't believe the hype. Don't believe the propaganda. Don't believe the lies that are out there floating. Um, Me saying temporarily, momentarily, just came out today
Oh,
as we're
wow.
speaking.
I heard it loud and clear. Yep.
So you and I know that is spirit through us, right?
That is right.
This is a moment in time.
Yes.
This is a snag on our tapestry. This is
This
a
is it.
moment in time.
Yes. Yes.
We will move past it. So don't ever forget, don't ever forget that you are loved.
Yes. Absolutely. You are loved. Audience, thank you so much for listening to another episode of Belief Being Beyond. Like, subscribe, hit the bells and whistles, share this. If this inspired you and it made you think of someone, share this information. This is wonderful, empowering information that can lead us home, lead us to community. And you can text the show if you're listening to this on a podcast. Just scroll down, text the show. I don't know who you are. You can tell me or stay anonymous. But just like Laura Gonzalez says, you are loved. I love you, and we'll see you on the flippity flip.